Hey, everybody. Court is now in session. Welcome to the Ravens verdict. Oh, we need to bring our
We
gavels.
gotta bring out the gavel.
Anyway,
It's
dang.
coming, y'all, before the
It's
season.
coming,
Before the
y'all. It's
season.
coming, y'all, before the season. It is before the season, and we have a funny story associated with that as well. And as you can see, we're already excited. We're already ready to jump right on in. The first week of Baltimore Ravens training camp has come to a close. They've gone through the first week of practice. Next up, they'll be practicing in pads. Listen, Darrell and I have both been on site with the Baltimore Ravens during their first week of training camp. And we got to jump right into our cases for this Ravens verdict episode because there is so much to discuss. But before we jump right on in, I got to ask Darrell how he's doing. Darrell, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Great first week. Getting the juices flowing. You see all the players kind of getting into the groove. You see the coaches all pumped up. Obviously, the media is excited to be there because hey, guess what? They've been saying it for the last week or so. This past week is the last Sunday, last Thursday that we'll see without football. So it's like, hey, after this, we got football leading all the way up until the middle of February. So pumped up. Let's get it. Let's get
Let's
it.
go ahead and get it. Shout out to our partners, Fox Sports 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. As always, we love our partnership with our Fox Sports 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia family. We got to go ahead and get started right on into the cases for this episode. We're going to focus on offense, everybody, okay? Drop down if you're watching this episode, listening to it, drop down. Put offense in the chat because that's what we're going to talk about. Case number one, so you all know, Lamar Jackson, Declan Doyle, really that's the talk of the town. Quite a bit of a hot topic. Now we will finally get to see this offense. What will it look like? Case number two, the rebuilt offensive line may determine everything. How will they gel to start the season? And then our case number three for this episode, wide receiver 3 and Baltimore's apparent decision not to chase a big name veteran. Do they have what they need at wide receiver? We may as well get into it. Let's go ahead. Case number one. You all know how we do this with the opening statements. Darrell, you're up. What do you think? We're here. Training camp, preseason, then the regular season. But for right now we finally get to see this Declan Doyle, Lamar Jackson offense. What do you think it will look like?
You know, I've had a chance to really, soak it in over the last couple of months. This past week, there's a part of me that think we're going to finally get a different style in Baltimore. We're so used to Baltimore running the football. Yeah, they pass the ball. Don't get me wrong, and it's been a big topic of Lamar Jackson. He's always running. Can he be a pocket quarterback? We've heard it for so many years. But this offense, I feels like it's going to be so much different. And from what I've seen, it feels like it's going to have like a little bit of a fast pace to it. It's going to be real quick. It's going to be flashy. That's the vibe that I'm getting from what I've seen so far. And I think Ravens fans are really going to enjoy that because they're so used to I guess you can say the ground and pound or the maybe just the flashiness of Lamar getting out there running and making great plays. And of course, Derrick Henry doing what he needs to do. But this time around, I think that it's going to really keep people on their toes. That's the vibe that I've gotten. And just from what I've seen, the energy looks different. Lamar's going to be under center more, which we haven't seen him in the league really be under center. He's been, in the gun for the most part. So it's going to make it very interesting. Very, very interesting to see what Lamar and Declan Doyle can do together. I'm very excited to see what they got going on.
Yeah, this has definitely been one of those seasons. Can we go ahead and put this out on the table now with the top 100 NFL players and Lamar Jackson? The Lamar Jackson getting, what is it, number 69?
I think it's 71.
I think 69. I think
it's
it
a
was
disrespectful
69.
number.
It is such a disrespect. And so with all that being said, right, it becomes a this is, I think one of the narratives around this is whenever Lamar is lower on the, the NFL top 100, then he comes out and has an MVP season,
right?
Or all of those things. But 69, I'm not sure what he's about to do, but I'm pretty certain it's going to be top tier, some of the best we've seen at this position for sure. So couple that with Declan Doyle and what he plans on bringing, and I think this is going to be super explosive, high-powered offense where they're absolutely going to be using all of their assets for the good of this offense. What do you think about that, Darrell?
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, when I saw the number initially, I'm like, man, 69, next 69, and I knew he was in that round, and I'm like, there's no way you can believe that there's 60 players better than Lamar Jackson in this league. Down year or not, there's no way there's 60 players better than Lamar Jackson, not the two-time MVP. But what I think this, just everything with this coaching staff is just going to change the whole dynamic. There's a lot of expectations for this team right now. And I think that this new offense is really going to help Lamar take another step. Every time you hear Lamar and it talks about Coach Doyle, there's just a big smile on his face. When you hear Coach Doyle talking about Lamar, there's a big smile on their face. They're really growing and really learning each other. And you can tell that they really, really enjoy spending time together. And I think that's important to have that connection. He's got to have that trust on both ends. So I know that's why I said the first preseason game, I'm like, I hope they give him a series or two. I want to see what this thing looks like.
And so we've kind of already jumped right into the deliberations of it all. And so with that being said, we're going to share a clip. And you all know Ravens Verdict episodes are full of clips from our time on site, on the ground, and in the room with the Baltimore Ravens. This clip is one on Lamar Jackson talking about Declan Doyle.
It's different. Just how different is it for you in terms of what you have to learn, terminology, different plays? Was there any stuff you carried over, things like that?
No, I don't think we carried over anything, man. It's Dak like a wizard. He's trying to get the best out of all of us, not just the quarterbacks, but every aspect of the offense. And I feel like he's doing a great job at that, challenging us each and every play. Even with the huddle, how the huddle is set up, he's challenging us, man, get to the line of scrimmage fast, execute, break down the defense, process everything fast. It's like process of elimination when we get into the line of scrimmage, so it's great.
Are you ready?
Continue to hear this narrative. Dak is like a wizard. Yes. Right? Coach Anthony Weaver talked about just a human computer and how smart Declan Doyle is. My perception of Declan Doyle, because I hit you up almost immediately. This is sometimes for all the viewers, the Ravens flock, this is where we start to tell you all a little bit of our business. When I said, hey, Darrell, Declan Doyle is dope. Like, he is so high energy. You can tell he loves football, y'all. He loves it. He loves the scheme. He loves the process. He loves it all. He just really eats it up. And we also heard Lamar Jackson say, this isn't just for the quarterbacks that he wants to get the best out of. It's for all of the offense. Darrell, you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, look, Coach Doyle, like when you're out there and you get a chance to just kind of see him, at times you would probably think, man, this guy's the head coach of the team. That is how efficient, how much energy that he's bringing, when he's out there. He has this aura. Some people like to use aura a lot. He has a different aura when he's out there. And the players, as you can tell, just listening to what Lamar said there, they listen to him. You can tell the players want to do better. Like, I think it's the challenge. He's challenging those guys to do something maybe they haven't done before. And you can tell they've accepted the challenge and they're ready to rock and roll with it. And I think that's going to be, so critical for this team. And that's why so many people are like, man, the Ravens could be something special because of, just that reason alone. I'm excited to see what he does. This team has something going on. I try not to get too hyped because we haven't played any games yet, but this team has something special brewing. I guess we just got to wait to see what it is, but there's something there.
And to your point, Darrell, it's like at this point, Lamar has almost always been asked about Declan Doyle. It seems like every press conference he's up there is like a question about Declan and Declan's offense and how he's learning the new offense. You're like in that one. Did anything carry over? No, nothing carried over. Like just all of the things. And it almost seems to me like every time you can tell Lamar is getting more and more excited. Like he's enjoying it. It's almost like they're feeding off of each other, it feels like.
Yeah, and it feels like Lamar knows something we don't know. It's like you can tell, like it feels like he wants to say more, but he has to keep it in house. Like, it's almost like I can't wait to show y'all what we got for y'all. Like that's the vibe he gives. People like you can tell he's like kind of reserving what he's saying, but it's all because they've got a good thing going. I really do think that, and I want to be positive about it because like the energy that's coming from camp is everybody's excited. Everybody is very pumped up to see what this is going to look like. I mean, most of the staff that is there are former Ravens, so they know what it's all about to be a Raven. It's not just there's something brewing. That's all. I'm gonna keep saying until I'm blue in the face until they prove me wrong. There's something brewing, Candy.
All right. Well, it definitely we're giving the vibes that the verdict is in about what this Declan Doyle, Lamar Jackson, highly anticipated offense is going to look like. Darrell, what is your verdict?
My verdict is that this offense has the potential to be a top 5 offense. And I know that's you haven't seen it yet, but I'm just basing it off of the vibes of the players and how energetic the players seem to be about this new offense. So for me, I think the verdict is in, man. Like this partnership could be something special. And Doyle looks like a future head coach in this league. And I'm not trying to push him out of the way. You have Ravens fans. I promise you, I'm not trying to send him away right away. But the guy just has this aura vibe. And I know when he goes into an interview room down the road, people are going to be like, whew, this is just amazing. And everybody's praising him, human computer. Come on, man. Like him and Lamar together have to be magic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Explosive. I'm looking forward to it. Ravens flock, we know that you're looking forward to it. Can you tell that we're excited? We've taken most of this episode talking about that because, I mean, even though it's focused on the offense, it is something to really be excited about. So let's move on to case number 2. This has been a topic. This has been a topic, and we're listening, and we hear your and see your comments, Ravens flock, on this one about the offensive line. We're talking about this offense. We're talking about Lamar Jackson, but that offensive line, we all know, is a critical piece to the success of the offense overall. How will they gel to start the season? We could go ahead on and with the opening statement. Darrell, what do you have on the offensive line?
There's a lot of moving pieces at the moment. They're still trying to figure out what pieces of the puzzle will fit right and how is it going to work for this team. And it's critical because they lost so many pieces over in the last couple of years on this offensive line, and they're trying to almost essentially rebuild it here. They brought a couple of centers in to try to figure out who's the right center for Lamar. Ronnie Stanley's coming back. We've seen him, dealing with injuries. They draft, and the offensive line is important because you use your first pick on a guard. That doesn't happen often. They got criticized for using that first round pick on a guard, but they needed pieces on this offensive line because obviously Lamar Jackson protection is important. You want to be able to run the ball well, all that good stuff. But it's very important right now for this team to get all of the pieces just to make sure that they come together as the right jigsaw puzzle, Jenga, whatever game you want to use. They've got to find a way to put that all together. And so right now it's just I don't want to say a hodgepodge, but it's definitely a multitude of different skill sets and trying to figure out if they can build chemistry together. That is so critical for this team right now.
Absolutely. We could probably go ahead and get right into the deliberations because one of the things, Darrell, you mentioned Ronnie Stanley's injuries, of course, Vega Awanye. They brought back John Simpson, right? We had talked about that previously, I think, on a previous episode. So there's something here. There's something here, and it's going to be important to the overall success of the Ravens from, overall. We know that there was some questions previously with some decisions being made by the previous offensive coordinator. And we know that they needed some updates and upgrades to the offensive line based on play last season. So let's get into going back to a clip from Lamar Jackson when he was asked about the centers and O-line so far in training camp.
Lamar, what's it been like developing a relationship with your new centers, Danny and Ethan?
Oh, those guys are grinding, man. Good competition. Those guys grinding. You know, they're calling out the mic, you know, re-IDing the mic, calling out defense. They're doing a great job. We don't have one pass, so can't tell how they're blocking yet, but they're looking good. Mentally, those guys are sharp.
And key point, because even Lamar said it, you know, they don't have the pads on yet, so you can't tell how they blocking. I love the transparency with that. But it's still very positive. And I think another clip that we for sure wanted to share with you all was when Ronnie Stanley did his press conference last week, in the day before training camp started, the day that veterans reported to camp. He was asked a few questions, obviously, about his injury, how the offensive line is doing, Vega Awanye, and a bit more. Let's check out this clip.
Leg injuries in the past couple of seasons, training differently this offseason. What did you do?
You know, I do a lot of cross training in my off season. I try to do a lot of different things, attack different parts of the body, different parts of the system, and that's something I try to be pretty consistent with. I've been pretty consistent with the last few years.
I mean, obviously, played for one head coach for 10 years. I mean, we haven't talked to you since that happened. Take us through, you know, how did you find out? How did you sort of process that?
Yeah, you know, I found out on social media, just kind of, I forgot, like early in the off season, you know, but like you said, I've been with the same coach for 10 years, and Coach Harbaugh has been a great coach, and I have nothing but love for him. You know, positive energy for him in his tenure with the New York Giants, and I know he's going to be successful wherever he goes.
Comparison with, like, you know, big investment, first round offensive lineman, you know, to yourself, how has that relationship been, and how have you guys kind of bonded over that?
Vega's been great. I see everything I want to see from a pro, especially, you know, early drafting and an offensive lineman. He comes in, he's all about his business. You know, he looks like a seasoned vet out there. I'm not worried about him one bit.
As a unit, as the offensive line, what has to happen for you guys to have a better year than last year?
I think we just need to be more consistent. You know, we showed a lot of flashes. You know, there's a lot of games where we really controlled the game, but you know, there's a lot of inconsistencies, you know, throughout the season. I think that's something that we can do.
All right, Darrell, what are some of your immediate reactions to everything that Ronnie Stanley shared in his press conference earlier this week?
Biggest thing is consistency. I think that's probably, you know, what I was kind of screaming about at the beginning here, or just talking about at the beginning, is they got to find the pieces of the puzzle that's going to work, you know, and it's so hard in the NFL to keep a line together for the entire season. But if you do have injuries and you do have situations, probably you want to have a guy that can come right in and it doesn't seem like you miss a beat. And I think, you know, he said that, you know, there were games where they looked great and there were games where it just didn't look too hot. And I think they want to get back to the point where they're a really solid, going up to really good offensive line. And it's, like I said, there's so many moving pieces at the moment. They've got to figure out who, when, what, where. And obviously center is going to be the biggest part of that.
Mm-hmm. And so what have you seen so far? I know that you mentioned previously, again, this is us being very transparent, right? When Darrell was out there on site, you did, with your amazing photography skills, take a few photos of the center group, but also just offensive line, and you spent some time taking a look at them. So what have you seen specifically out of that center group since you've been on site?
Well, it's they definitely been rotating. I think they're still trying to figure out, you know, they brought in Ethan Posick from Cleveland. He was he was a Cleveland starter for a couple of years. Former Raven great Joe Flacco talked about, you know, his talents and, you know, how much he really loved him as a center because of his size. He said it's not often that you see a center his size. He said it made a big difference for him because he didn't have to squat down. You know, Joe Flacco's a tall guy himself. He didn't have to squat down. He would kind of just walk in and do whatever he needed to do. But he said a guy of his size really made it easier when they had to worry about blocking up, you know, towards the middle. So I think a guy like that is really, you know, especially with endorsement from a guy who's a Ravens great, is going to be a really big thing. They brought in Danny Pinter from the Colts. he's been there since March, so he's got a little bit of a leg up on Posick. But I feel like there's a part of me that says you don't bring a guy in if you feel completely comfortable with the other guy. It may be for competition purposes, at this point, and that's what I kind of think it is. But yeah, the center position is, it's going to be very interesting because, losing Linderbaum hurts, but you're going to find a guy who's the most comfortable with Lamar. That is going to be a very critical piece between now and the season starts. So, of course, they got, they brought in Corey Bullock as well. Then they got, they brought in a rookie from Penn State. So they've got pieces there. They're just trying to figure out who, what, when, and where.
Absolutely. Again, of course, it goes without saying that importance of the center position. But then going back to Ronnie Stanley and his injury history, and his very important part of this as the left tackle. So he was asked that question, of course, very confident in his recovery and just off-season program planning, just how important, of course, as a left tackle, but just how important is that needing Ronnie Stanley, not having to, you need depth at every position, but needing Ronnie Stanley to be healthy all season long. Just how important is that, Darrell?
Yeah, it's really important. You pay Ronnie Stanley the big bucks, and you got to have, when you have a right-handed quarterback, that left tackle is the most important thing in the world. If you got a left-handed quarterback, your right tackle is the most important thing in the world. Somebody's got to protect his blind side, and that's why it's important to have an all-pro like Ronnie Stanley healthy and ready to go. You want Lamar to feel comfortable knowing that he's got Ronnie Stanley protecting him while he's trying to make magic on the other side. That's what makes it really critical, and that's why it's important to have him healthy. I mean, when they brought him in initially, they'd spent a lot of money on him then. They've re-signed him, and they've spent a lot of money on him a little bit more. So they really like Stanley. He's been a very critical part of this team over the last couple of years. So it's very important to have him healthy. You got to have him there. The best what do they say? Best ability is availability, or the best. Yeah. I could be saying that wrong, but you know what I was looking at. So yeah, that's what they have to have, and a healthy Ronnie Stanley is what's best for business on that offensive line.
And I just mentioned it a moment ago, but kind of said, okay, but let's keep the starters healthy, of course, but the depth pieces as well. Right, Darrell? Yep. If somebody's goes down, they need to have that depth there. How do you think they are kind of stacking the roster there to ensure that they have depth pieces available? We'll see more, of course, in training camp and in preseason games, but what have you seen so far?
Well, that's the one thing I did like that they did. I mean, they drafted a couple of offensive linemen, so they got some young guys in there, but I think they brought in a couple of different veterans that are going to kind of help try to shape this thing. So, they didn't go and went completely young, but I think it's going to be very critical for them to have this depth. I mean, we've seen the injuries over the year. We saw the struggles they had at offensive line last year. They have to have somebody. If somebody goes down for whatever reason, they have to have somebody ready to go. So you can tell it's still a work in progress with this offensive line. It's probably the biggest question on this offense, maybe outside of the receivers. But definitely the biggest question on the offense right now is that offensive line. So it's going to be very critical for them to come together, work as a unit. So Coach Laidlaw has done a really good job there. The players rave about him, and so I'm just ready to see if he can put this thing together for him.
All right, so this is definitely a position. We know that all position groups are we're going to be watching all of them, but we know that this one is very important to the success of the Ravens flock offense. Let's jump right into, before we close out, we've had so much fun talking about the offense and offensive line. We kind of went down a tangent. I mean, this is what happens when you love it. So case number 3, we got to be quick on this one. Wide receiver 3, the wide receiver group overall. The Baltimore Ravens did not necessarily get a big name veteran, but do they have what they need at wide receiver? We can go ahead and just jump right in the interest of time, to the deliberations. Darrell, what are your thoughts here?
Well, look, it's going to be a very interesting thing here for this team. You got Corey Lane, you brought him in. You got Surratt that you also drafted, Chris Moore, a guy who former Raven, now Commander. So they've brought in quite a bit of receivers to try to figure out who could be this guy at number 3. Now, I think a big piece, and Lamar said it the other day, is having Rashad Bateman back. Like, having Bateman back is something that he was very excited to have back, and his comfort level with Bateman is going to be huge. So I think for me, finding that next person that can kind of take the load off of those top 2 guys. They've got some guys that can ball, and the question is, but who can be able to step up during the season and make those things happen? That's going to be big for this receiver room. And I think them not going out their big name receiver was intentional. Now, at first, I think a lot of people kept throwing, it's going to be this person. It's going to be this person. It's going to be this person, the Diggs of the world, the Hills of the world. But I think when you think about it more, it may be smarter to go about this route because you got a new offense, new coaches. You may not need no divas in there at the moment because they're going to be asking for the ball, and that could stifle the development of those young receivers. And I think with what they have now, I think it's the right way to go. I like what they did, and we just have to see them grow, see them develop, and I think they went the right way by not going out there one of the big guns.
I mean, I think that I totally agree. And we also remember like Devontae Walker as well.
Right?
And I know that he normally does, he's like their special teams ace at return, but LaJohntay Wester too, right? I remember there was one practice, you walked away from that practice, Darrell, like, I like LaJohntay Wester. Because with Rashad being out during OTAs,
he took advantage.
He took advantage. He was able to see him in more reps. So there's a good group there, like you said, good, young, hungry group, right? Learning a new offense for all parties involved. Everybody's got to, learning that new offense. Zay Flowers is one that whenever he talks about this offense, he just smiles. He just smiles. He can't stop smiling.
He's excited about it. You can see it. The 2 times I've seen him, he went to that podium, he's very excited about his offense. So
he's just like smiling. I remember in April going there when they first were starting their off-season program, and he was smiling then. He was excited in April before they even got back truly on the field. And so this is a group that folks are going to be watching. What do they have there, especially with their rookies, right? But I think going back to something you said about Rashad Bateman, I think this might just be an offense that could really see him shine. I know there's been, times where it's like, where's Rashad? Or is he getting the ball enough? Or are they really using him as effectively as they could be? I think Declan Doyle is going to unlock something that we've all been waiting to see in Rashad Bateman. What are your thoughts there?
I agree. Now Bateman had one really good year, and it started off a little slow, but then towards the end of the season, he was catching touchdowns left and right. I think it was the year they went to the AFC Championship game.
That's right.
So you know that he has the talent to do it, but he's been dealing with injuries here and there. And best ability is availability, and there might be our new theme here.
Yes.
But it's one of those things where I feel like Lamar couldn't wait to get on the football. We seen him though. There was a couple of great passes that he threw to Bateman during the practice session. This past weekend we had to see him, trying to look for Bateman. I feel like Lamar is really comfortable with Bateman, but I don't know if the last offense maybe allowed him to maybe get him the ball as much as he would like. So I think he could be the key piece in all of this. Obviously, we know Zay Flowers is going to be Zay Flowers, but can Rashad Bateman take that next step, stay healthy, be on the field? Because we know he can do it because we've seen it. The question is, can he do it consistently?
Exactly. In the interest of time, and Darrell, I think I rushed you through the center verdict too. So now I'm like, did we even do the verdict for center? Guess we just got on up out of the courtroom because we knew what needed to happen at center. So it's like, okay, wait, center, you still need the verdict for center and wide receiver group, wide receiver 3. Do they have what they need at wide receiver? So center first, Darrell, and then what do they need, or do they have what they need at wide receiver?
Well, I will say center. I think it's going to be definitely a battle between Pinter and Posick. I think Posick is going to edge him out. Posick has been really good in Cleveland. Despite what you want to say about Cleveland, Cleveland's had solid offensive line play. They've had some really good offensive line, but they didn't have other pieces on the offense to really get things going. So I think Posick might be the guy that ends up getting that job, if you ask me. And then on the receiver front, there's a lot of ways they can go with this, and I really don't think it could be a wide receiver 3 by committee. And I think there's too much talent between Surratt, young guy, and Surratt. You got Lane. Lane's going to be a guy who they really want to see take that next step. Des Walker, who's been growing and growing and growing over the last couple of years, and then you got Wester. Like, there's so many pieces. So I think it's going to be a rotation at that 3 spot. And that may be okay, because you want to be able to have everybody be able to have somebody to step in that role also, because, injuries do exist. So I think that the wide receiver 3 may just stay open between now and the end of the season.
All righty. Well, you have been watching the Ravens Verdict, brought to you by Bowie Television and our partners Fox Sports 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia. We have recapped the Baltimore Ravens' first week of training camp with this episode focusing on the offense. We will be back with an episode on the defense, because how you going to talk about the offense without talking about the defense? Yeah. So we're definitely going to talk about the defense. We might throw a little bit of special teams in there too, because some of that is relevant as well. So we might want to try to, add that in there, of course. But you all, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube to Bowie TV, as well as Fox Sports 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia. Make sure you're following us across all platforms. We're not hard to find, everybody, I promise.
No, we're around and about,
We're around and about, and we always have content flowing all the time from our on-site presence at the Baltimore Ravens training camp. You all stay tuned, lock in, and we'll be talking in a bit.